What if I told you that the real path to wealth isn't loud or flashy, but completely silent? We're going to dive into a blueprint for a kind of success that you don't see, all based on one kind of counterintuitive truth: the loudest people in the room are very often the poorest.
And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? This whole thing isn't just about piling up money. It's about building freedom. It's about the massive difference between looking rich and actually being rich.
All right, so let's get into it. The wealth you don't see. We are surrounded, absolutely bombarded by signals of success. But what if most of them are just an illusion? Think about it for a second. It's a question that kind of gets under your skin, right? We're all conditioned to believe that what we see is what we get, that visibility equals success. But the truth is, a lot of the time, those two things are moving in completely opposite directions. That shiny leased luxury car, it might just be a sign of massive debt, not assets.
So why does this keep happening? Well, the answer isn't really financial. It's pure psychology. It's something called the premature reward trap, and it's all about how talking about your goals can actually be the very thing that sabotages them.
Okay, so check this out. This is where it gets really interesting. This is the idea of the talk tax. Just look at this flowchart. When you announce a huge goal, I'm starting a business, your brain gets this little hit of dopamine. It feels great. All that social validation, the likes, the comments, it acts as a premature reward. But here's the problem. It tricks your brain into feeling like you've already done something, which then kills your motivation to do the actual hard work. You've literally spent the applause before you've even given the performance. So let's just nail this down. The talk tax is the invisible price you pay for getting that validation too early. You get the praise, you get the backpats, but what you're trading for it is the raw fuel, the actual drive you need to execute.
And oh man, this trap is everywhere on social media. We've all seen it a million times. Someone changes their bio to CEO and founder before they've made a single dollar. Those vague, big things coming posts. It's exactly like swiping a debit card for motivation that you don't actually have in your account. The more you talk, the less you do. It's that simple.
So this brings us to a really fundamental choice, a fork in the road. You simply can't walk both paths at the same time. You have to pick one. Are you going to signal your success, or are you going to silently build it?
And this image just nails it, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the signal. That's the world of validation, likes, logos, looking good. And you know what? Society rewards this stuff. It's visible, it's exciting. But on the other side, you've got the silence. And this is the world of execution, the boring, the repetitive, the completely unseen work. And that is what wealth rewards. You cannot optimize for both. You've got to choose.
Let's break this down even further. Looking rich, that's the trap, right? It's all about the leased cars, the designer logos, the high overhead, which almost always leads to a life of anxiety. But being rich, the actual goal, that's about owned assets, things that make you money while you sleep. It's about inconspicuous consumption, the freedom to control your own time, and, well, the peace that comes with silence.
And this, right here, is the mindset of what we'll call the invisible millionaire. They get the difference. They're not trying to impress you at the dinner party with their fancy watch. They're busy trying to own the whole restaurant. They made the choice to own the part, not just look it.
I absolutely love this concept of financial camouflage. Real wealth isn't the fancy car you see. It's all the capital that was saved by not buying that fancy car. It's like an invisibility shield against social pressure. Every single dollar you don't spend on something that loses value is a dollar that can be invested in something that grows in value.
Okay, now let's see how this really plays out over time. This simulation shows two different paths. The red line, that's the car guy. He's buying a new car every 5 years, trapped in this endless cycle of car payments and depreciation. But the green line, that's the Simon protocol. It's where that exact same amount of money is instead quietly invested in something like the S&P 500. And wow, the difference is just staggering.
That is the opportunity cost. Over 30 years, that standard car payment, quietly invested and left alone, could become $800,000. That truck didn't just cost a few grand, it cost an entire retirement. This is the insane power of silent discipline compounding.
So if you're convinced, if you're on board with this idea, how do you actually do it? Well, here it is, the Silent Wealth Protocol, a 4-step blueprint for building that invisible success.
Okay, so it starts with step 1, pay the talk tax. By refusing to talk, just keep your mouth shut and deny your brain that cheap, easy dopamine.
Step 2, drive the beater. Use that financial camouflage to keep your expenses incredibly low. Step 3, embrace the dirt. This is so key. You take all that money you're saving and you bury it in investments. You just let the roots grow in the dark. And finally, step 4, wait for the reveal. Don't correct people if they think you're struggling. You just let your results do all the talking for you years and years from now. And that third step, embracing the dirt, man, that is the hardest part. It's the unglamorous, lonely, boring work. There are no notifications, there's no praise, nobody's patting you on the back. It's just you and the quiet, consistent act of building day in and day out. But this is where all the magic happens. Down here, in the dark, the roots are growing.
You see, compounding, whether it's money or a skill or knowledge, it needs time and it needs to be left alone in the dark. And you should think of the boredom as a filter. It's a feature, not a bug. It weeds out everybody who needs constant applause to keep going. If you can push through that boredom, you get access to results that most people will just never, ever see.
And that long journey through the boredom filter, it actually has a name. To get to the real payoff, you have to survive what's known as the Valley of Disappointment.
Take a look at this graph. Our expectation for how progress works is this nice, clean, straight line. But reality? It's this S-curve. That first phase is what we call the quit zone. It's where you're putting in the work but getting no feedback, and most people give up. But if you push through, you enter the silent zone. This is where you are building in the dark, sometimes for years, with absolutely no visible results. You have to be willing to exist in that gap. Because if you can do that, you eventually hit the breakout, where years of silent work suddenly explodes and looks like an overnight success to everyone else.
And this is the result. This is what that breakout moment looks like in the real world. The person who drove that old cheap truck for decades isn't showing off a liability anymore. They're pointing to an entire portfolio of assets. That one single, disciplined, silent decision funded an entire life of freedom.
So, at the end of the day, the most crucial takeaway is this: invest in silence. It's maybe the most valuable asset you have. The work you do when absolutely no one is watching is the very thing that will create a result that no one can ignore. But you have to be willing to stay in the dark long enough for that tiny seed to become a forest.
It all comes back to that simple idea. Build something solid, something real, something in silence. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?